What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CheeseTalk podcast. I'm your host, Brian Rago, and tonight I am joined by Mick, huge Packer fan. What's up, Mick?
Hey, pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get to Mick, though, and talk Packers, of course, I want to give a shout out to the Open Network for giving me the opportunity to pod under their under their umbrella. If they are 54 followers away on social media or on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, from giving away a Jair Alexander 8x10 autograph picture. This Ohana _Packers. So yeah, go follow them. And Mick, tell us about yourself.
Well, I live in northern Indiana, about 10, 15 minutes from Notre Dame Stadium, but grew up in central Wisconsin, became a Packer fan at age 3. And even though the first half of my life, that was not a winning proposition, been very fortunate that turned around. And so very happy to talk about my beloved Packers.
Sure. Well, so how did you know at 3 years old you became a fan?
Well, my family, we were living in Memphis, Tennessee, and my father worked for Speed Queen washing machines, which were headquartered in Ripon, Wisconsin. So as a little kid of 3, Dad comes back from a business trip and has this great pair of Green Bay Packer pajamas. And at 3, I didn't really know what it was, but I loved the pajamas. Within a couple of months, we moved to Ripon, Wisconsin. And for the last 51 years, I've been a Packer fan. And it pretty much that once you got up there in the 70s, you couldn't be a fan of any other team. So
Speed Queen, they're still there.
Yeah, they still Lions Laundry, as they call it now.
Yep, going strong. That and Oshkosh Truck is where people want to get jobs at up in the Oshkosh area.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on this year's draft?
I looked at this year's draft. I love the fact that I knew that Goody was going to be making some trades up and some trades down. I think it was a little more geared toward need as opposed to best player available, which we got accustomed to for a long time with Ted Thompson. But it shows with Goody Kuntz that he's got that Ted Thompson, Ron Wolf background where he may be real conservative one year and the next year he goes up and makes moves. You look at the positions we thought we needed the most, and maybe outside a corner, I mean, he addressed every position in the draft we needed.
Well, I think the corner from Penn State is going to be a steal.
Isn't that crazy? A year ago, he would have been a first-round pick, and now we get him almost like a Purdy end of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant kind of pick.
Something like that, though. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to want to improve himself coming from Penn State. You know, when he thought that he was a first-round pick. You even look at Marshawn Lloyd. They're even saying that he was the best running back in the draft.
He just looks angry all the time.
Yeah.
And I want a rookie running back that just looks angry all the time. I keep seeing these pictures from OTAs. Everybody else is smiling, and Lloyd's like, and that's what I want to see. I mean, I'm a big fan of Aaron Jones, going to miss him, but starting this season with Jacobs and starting this season with Lloyd, seeing the shape that A.J. Dillon has come into OTAs, looking more cut and better than ever. Emmanuel Wilson. I mean, we have a tremendous depth at running back that I think is better than we've seen in a long time.
And people might be questioning, well, A.J. Dillon, I think they might use him at the fullback as a passing down to protect Jordan Love,
Oh, I think that, we drafted DeGuara as a tight end, but he pretty much was an H-back, fullback, maybe not the John Kuhn type, but filled several roles. And I agree. I think that Dillon loves being on this team. He loves Wisconsin. And if he can, do the H-back, fullback, improve on his blitz pickup a little bit, for the contract we have him on, I think it's a tremendous situation.
Yeah, he's a fan favorite. He signed for cheap. He knows the playbook, and he can be a locker room guy, you know,
Yeah.
and he's the mayor of Door County.
I mean, the mayor of county.
Come on, you can't get rid of him.
No, I mean, can you imagine if he goes like Mercedes Lewis and all these other guys? If he plays for the Bears, I think he is recalled in Door County. And I
Yeah.
don't
They'll have state patrol waiting for him to cross the border, and they're going to arrest him for being a traitor.
Yeah, we don't want to see it end like that. It's been too good of a story so far. So.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a Packer for his whole career. I really do.
Well, I mean, it looks like he has really dedicated himself, and if he's willing to, play some more special teams, not be a primary ball carrier only because we have, 2 or 3 really good guys. I think there's a spot for him for all the mentions, that you just said. I mean, locker room knows the offense. I don't think he's a selfish player that has to have stats and all of that. So,
yeah, Packers fanatic, great depth at running back, indeed. Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that, like you said, Mick, we haven't seen in a while. What defense are you gonna want taking blows from? I mean, Jacobs runs angry.
Yeah.
He's an Alabama back, and he, and then you got Lloyd who wants to eat someone's grandchildren, and then you have AJ Dillon,
running backs, right?
Yeah, you have. I wouldn't want to be taking those guys on for 3 hours straight, but that's why I'm sitting here talking about it. Not
yeah, exactly.
Who was your favorite pick of the draft?
I mean, right now, if I really look at it, it's between Lloyd and Bullard. I think in Bullard, between signing McKinney to be the leader of the safety position and he and Jair being a leader all, I think the Bullard's a great complement at the safety position, a position we desperately needed. I love that. But I also see Lloyd is Aaron Jones, a younger Aaron Jones, a faster Aaron Jones. To get Jacobs and then find ourselves able to draft Lloyd, I just think we have improved the running back position overall quite a bit since a year ago.
Yeah, and I think they're looking at I see a mixture of Jones and Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they're going to keep, future can only tell us, but I don't know if we're going to keep Jacobs those 4 years. And they might be looking at Lloyd as a replacement for Jacobs down the road. So
sure.
You never know. I like Adrian Cooper.
Yeah.
I'm a defensive minded kind of guy, and I just get to that quarterback, make him get rid of the ball before he wants to, make him uncomfortable, make him, turn the ball over, throw it to McKinney, throw it to Jair, throw it. I hope Eric Stokes comes back and makes an impact this year. Do you think he'll make an impact?
That's the biggest wild card of this defense. I, showing that I don't always know what I'm talking about, thought we would draft a cornerback in the first 3 rounds for sure. We ended up not drafting one till the 7th, never thinking that King would fall that far. That tells me they have tremendous confidence in Stokes' ability to bounce back. Obviously, he and Watson both went to that hamstring specialist in Madison.
Yep.
And apparently, from everything that we've seen and heard for both of them, it was positive. I also take it as a vote of confidence in Valentine and his development. But if they didn't think Stokes was going to be able to come back and be a starter, I think we would have seen a difference in the draft. So I'm pretty confident. They say he's running as well as he ever has. So,
yeah, he wasn't, a top-notch stud his rookie year, but he did get burnt. He was human, but although he got burned, he had the speed to make up for it.
Yeah.
He's quick, and if he can keep his speed with his injury and, only improve with the guys that we're bringing in. I mean, McKinney, I still every episode I do, I still can't believe that we got him. How did the Giants let him go?
I think that Goody Kunst, and I'm a pro Goody Kunst guy, no GM is 100%, but for the most part, I'm a pro Goody Kunst guy. I think that coordinating with Halfley coming in and all of that and the type of player that he wanted, I think that Goody wanted to make a statement that this is not the old Ted Thompson Green Bay Packers. We will go out and target a free agent and be aggressive if we feel he can be a big difference maker. And I think with Halfley coming in the new system, I think Goody, this was just kind of bam, we're going to get you the talent you want.
It kind of gives me like a Charles Woodson vibe.
Yeah.
Bringing him in, he can definitely be a leader. He was a captain. Was he not a captain in New York?
He was. Yes.
And then Josh Jacobs on offense, he was a captain too. So I mean,
fluid
win-win situation for us. I think we can only go forward from here. And I mean, he's 24 years old. I think he has either 9 or 6 interceptions, and one was a pick six. But he just brings the leadership that you need on defense, especially where he's going in safety. That was that's been a weak spot for years, not for years, but it's an upgrade, and I'm happy. I can't wait to see the defense perform this year, and hopefully they get some touchdowns for us.
Well, you got a lot of guys that all these first-round picks we've assembled in the last few years, and I'm not saying they've been disappointments at all, but I'm saying if we're going to make the move from 9 and 8 and getting a wild card to being legit Super Bowl contender, we're going to need guys like Stokes, a first-round pick, to come back. We're going to need, Devontae Wyatt to continue to take another step up on the defensive line. Quay Walker, the guy's proven to me his athletic ability, but as far as the ability to be a smart player, be a true leader on defense, he's got a golden opportunity this year to step up and move into that. We have more talent on defense than pretty much any other defense in the NFL. We got a new coordinator. We got a bunch of young kids. I like you. I think it can come together, but they're going to have to show us,
I like seeing these pictures of Rashawn Gary in the 3-point stance.
Yeah.
Off the edge. He's going to, I just think that's going to be huge. If he can do that on one side, then you got Quay on the other side, you got Edgerrin Cooper, you got Kenny Clark, you got Wyatt, you got Luke Van Ness. It's just this, they should have like whoever can get to the quarterback fastest, you get a bonus,
Well, exactly. And with every funny video I see of Caleb Williams throwing passes in shorts with no shoulder pads on,
yeah,
the Packers are in trouble. I'm like, well, when we've got Van Ness, when we've got Gary, when we've got Quay, when we've got Preston Smith all set up on passing downs, okay, if you can get away from that pass rush, good for you.
Yeah, and I think with the switch to the 4-3 defense, drafting those safeties was huge too. You want to get them out there covering receivers versus having Preston Smith out there covering receivers,
Absolutely. And I think, yes, technically it's going to be a 4-3. I think it's going to be a 4-2-5 the vast majority of times. We'll have a nickel D back in there. And we'll have 2 linebackers. I think Quay's going to be on the field all the time. And, hopefully Edgerrin Cooper is that other guy that we can have at least those 2. Obviously, sometimes we'll have 3 linebackers in, maybe 4. But with the receivers now we've got in our division, we're going to probably have to run 5 D-backs most of the time in those games.
Yeah, and doing that, you want to get that pressure on that quarterback, because the longer you have receivers that have cornerbacks trailing them, the longer they have a chance of getting open and making huge plays. So we definitely that, and I think. Do you think we addressed in my eyes, our biggest weakness last year was our run defense?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we addressed that with obviously with the switch to the 4-3 is hopefully going to improve that? But you think Halfley's system will be effective?
Well, if you look at it from the standpoint of the draft, obviously they did not go overboard at any defensive position to address it, which leads me to believe that the change in Halfley's system is going to be a benefit. With 7 first-round picks, 6 or 7 on defense, I am so hopeful that Hafley's approach is going to be pressure and let's set these guys loose. It was so clear they did not like Barry's system. It was so clear that from Jair, all the way to the defensive line, they didn't feel like it was a good system. And just the attitude and everything since Hafley's been named, I'm expecting a significant improvement.
Well, even having
put a lot into it in the draft.
Even having Jair show up for the OTAs.
Yeah.
He wasn't there before.
No.
So, like I tell my kids, they might not come out and say something, but your actions speak for you. Yeah. That's a life lesson. It's like a silent protest,
Yeah.
So I think the vibe in that locker room is good. They're one of the oldest person is Preston Smith. He's 31 years old.
Yeah.
I think the vibe is good. They're behind Jordan Love 100%. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think before Aaron Rodgers had people walking on eggshells.
Oh, I wholeheartedly, yes.
I mean, yeah. So I just think that McKinney, he came out and said that Jordan Love was one of the reasons why he wanted to come to Green Bay. And same with Josh Jacobs. So I'm looking forward to this year, big time. How many games have you been to in your lifetime?
Well, it's over 100.
Over 100.
Yes.
Most memorable game?
I hate to say it, but the most memorable game. Okay, there's several that compete for the number one spot, but I want to go with a happy ending game. So I will say the Antonio Freeman Monday nighter against the Vikings. He did what when he bounced the ball off his back and then caught it and ran in. I was in that end zone that he ran into, and they had that long review and all of that before they did it. That was the best happy ending game. I hate to say it, but I'm 0 for 2 in NFC Championship games at Lambeau, and it really pains me to say that, but both the Giants in Favre's last game and in Rodgers' last playoff game in Green Bay. I was at both of those, and they both obviously did not end well.
Well, so this next year, stay away from Green Bay in January.
That's the thing right now, Brian, is that I am a gold package holder. And through some quirk, the gold package tickets got all 3 division games this year. And the green ticket holders, which have twice as many games as we do, get 0 division games. And it's a mutiny. I mean, it's like green against gold. The green people are so pissed off right now. And it's not like we decided on how it would be, but yeah.
Right. Well, if you can ever make a game, I'm 10 minutes from Lambeau Field, just so you know.
Well, great. Well, I mean, right now, I gave the Lions game to my 2 children. My son is engaged. My daughter's happily married. And for the Lions game, I gave them all 4 tickets. But I am planning on being at the Vikings game and the Bears game at the end of the year. And how it shakes out, man, if there's a ticket available, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm 10 minutes. My wife can drop me off and she can pick me up. So,
see, that's a very fortunate thing. I'm stuck with Uber.
No, well, see, this November 1st will be 3 years alcohol free for me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Good for you.
So I'll just walk to the end of Lombardi there on Ashland and buy the Quick Trip and have her come pick me up.
Yeah. I've waited for Ubers at that same. Yes. So yeah, and the good thing with me too is one of my best friends who lives just down the road from me, here in Indiana. He's a green package holder. So between the 2 of us, we have, a ticket for every game. But yeah, I mean, the games at Lambeau, there's nothing like it. And when you're a gold season ticket holder, we got lucky this year because we don't have a preseason game. We get that 9th home game. So we got all 3 division games. I like to give away when I have the preseason game. You know, people that have never been, give them a chance to go and maybe have it be a little cheaper, more affordable, and all that, because it has gotten insane, man, for what it costs to go to games now.
Yeah, people have to take out like second mortgages just to pay for their season tickets.
Yeah, and then they take out a variable mortgage, and then interest rates. Yeah. Most expensive game I ever went to.
Yeah, right. So with Matt LaFleur coming in and trying to install his offense the last few years, who do you think is a better quarterback in his offense, Rodgers or Love?
Oh, I think Love by far.
Yeah.
And this is nothing against Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying that this is the offense that Love spent 3 years learning, maturing in, understanding, watching Aaron Rodgers at first. When I look at the numbers of how many passes went to Devontae and how few passes, went to everybody else, whether it be Lazard, whether it be, any of them. And you see how it broke down last year. Love will throw over the middle. Rodgers hardly did the last couple of years. Love is not going to 80% of the time go for the over the shoulder on the sideline to avoid an interception. He trusts his arm. And I think that Rodgers, as he got closer and closer toward the end, it was so predictable.
Yeah.
And we got guys, we got Reed, we got Wicks, we got Dobbs, we got Watson on every play. We don't even know where the ball's going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because we're sitting, watching the Cowboys playoff game last year. It's like, oh my God, like Musgrave, he's wide open. There's nobody around him. You're just like, wow, how?
And he didn't fall down.
He didn't fall down. It's like, how is he that wide open? It's just Love. He's just, even some of the throws that he made, was it against the Cowboys where it went through one defender's hands, then the other defender's hands, and was it Jaden Reed that caught that?
Yeah.
That was just, crazy. I mean, just the confidence that he has in himself is amazing,
When some of those people that, like you're saying, where you compare it to Rodgers, I'm going to compare Love a little closer to Brett Favre in that when Brett Favre would throw that heater through 3 different defenders' hands and our guys, Freeman would catch it or whatever, we're just always like, yeah, great. Rodgers never took those chances. But Love is back taking those chances, and I believe that he's got the arm and the fastball to do it,
Yeah, he's definitely fun to watch. He's going to be fun to watch for the next, I'd say 10 to 15 years, hopefully. And he keeps up his greatness along the way as well. Well, so you've been to Green Bay. You've been, 50 plus years of being a fan. When you hear Green Bay, what comes to mind? You've been to the stadium. You've been to the Strontian area. You've been to the stadium. You've seen different eras of Packer teams, and like what comes to mind? Like what flashes in your head when you hear Green Bay?
I mean, I just think of the Lambeau experience. I think of the tailgates. Obviously, the facilities have been enhanced immeasurably since I remember, being a little kid and all of that. But the atmosphere in the parking lot, the atmosphere when you get into the stadium, it's never changed. It's more comfortable now.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have someone chain smoking beside you, or something like that. But I love to take Bear fans or Viking fans or people from other areas to Lambeau because they see on social media what it's supposed to be. But when you actually take them to the actual game and experience, it's always, man, this is so cool. This is unlike anything that I've ever experienced. And that's the beauty of it. They still park cars in the houses' yards around the stadium like they did, when Lombardi was there. And having been to a number of stadiums outside of Wisconsin, there's just nothing like it,
Right. Yeah, for sure. You think of, like, I tell people that aren't Packer fans, that go, even if you're in Green Bay, hit me up, let me know. I'll take you to take you to Lambeau. You might not be a fan of the team, but I think you'd appreciate the history going through the Hall of Fame, taking a stadium tour, and just seeing, the pro shop and just the statue of Curly outside, the statue of Vince outside, just the statue of the Lambeau Leap outside. It's just amazing,
Well, we have our haters. I like to compare the Packers to Notre Dame. You either love them or you absolutely hate them. There is no apathy, when it comes to the Packers. But even our haters, when they come to Lambeau and experience, a Packer weekend, are like, yeah, this is something special. This is something you're not going to find in New York or Chicago or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just, your Lombardi Avenue is, what, 3/4 of a mile long?
Yeah. And
it's just the amount of fun you can have there on a game day is just, that's all you need just to fulfill your excitement for the day, Like I living so close, I could go there every day and just go through the pro shop numerous times. I could go through the Hall of Fame numerous times and just gaze and just be a kid in a candy store,
I get my credit card statement and be like, oh,
yeah.
I actually had to stop a couple of years ago. I was just like, all right. And the only reason I'm not doing this for my basement is my son's band was finishing their practice when we started. But I'll sit down in my Packer basement, look around at all the memorabilia and all that kind of stuff, and just think, they sucked the entire first half of my life, and I still have all this good winning stuff here now.
Yeah.
That's why I do think that there's so many younger Packer fans that are a bit spoiled and didn't go through all the losing seasons and all of that of the 70s and parts of the 80s, We've been pretty fortunate since then.
Yeah, I mean, my earliest memories, I remember like Don Mikowski. Yeah. I was born in 82, so I was, 10 when I was 10, 11 years old is when Favre came. Yeah.
Yep. Got my Mikowski t-shirt on.
So I remember like the Favre against the Buccaneers, and then, so Favre was like my earliest memories, and a little bit of Don Mikowski. I actually went to this shop at the mall here in Green Bay, and I bought a little pack of cards, and they're the cards that the police officers hand out the kids for like trick or treat and stuff. Mm-hmm. It was like the 89 or the 90 Packers, and it was like Don Mikowski and like, was it like Perry Kemp, and it just
Perry Kemp, yeah.
It was just crazy just to see like all like Bryce Pop, like Brian Noble. It was just I like $2 for him, and I bought him. Like whatever, But I have them.
Do you remember Walter Stanley, the wide receiver in 89?
Yeah.
His son is now competing for a receiver spot right now as an undrafted free agent. Aged me a little bit that Walter Stanley Jr., I saw the name and I'm like, no, it couldn't be. And then I looked up, yes, it is. It is Walter Stanley's son that is now coming to camp.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you've been to plenty of games. Obviously, you've taken in the atmosphere. You're going to a tailgate. What are you going to bring to a tailgate?
Well, there's variables on that. And the other day, someone asked about the Mud Bowl with the 96 playoffs when Desmond Howard took it back. And, yeah, we had a great tailgate set for that game. Unfortunately, 35-mile-an-hour winds with freezing rain, sleet, and all of that. All the food blew away. I'll never forget, I looked at my buddy, takes a brat off the grill, piles it up with onions and sauerkraut and mustard and all this. And I look away for a second, and I look back at him. And the wind and rain had blown it all away, and he just had the damn brat in his hand. And he took a bite out of it, and I was like, yeah, this isn't the coldest game we've ever been to. It's not the snowiest or rainiest, but combine everything together, and, yeah, that – You have to adjust to the conditions. When I like to tailgate at Lambeau Field, I go to Lot 1. I mean, if you've been to Lot 1, obviously, by the Oneida Gate and everything.
Yep.
They do it really well, and it's hilarious. And when fans from other states are in and all of that, I just say, okay, you can wander into any of these little tailgates you want. You're gonna have food if you want. You can have a shot if you whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm not a ticket holder or anything, and I plan to try to make it up there just to walk through and tailgate. Why not? Meet up with some people from Twitter, and I know enough of them go to the game, and enough of them plan ahead of time. I actually have a guy that I did a podcast with a few episodes ago who is gonna be up, I think, the end of July, and he's bringing his RV, and we're gonna do like an episode on how to tailgate for a Packers game. So we're just gonna,
man, to bring your RV up to Lambeau. Someday.
But yeah, so he was, I think he's born in Wisconsin, and then he moved to Georgia. Then he's moving back to Fond du Lac, I think.
Nice.
And he's gonna be bringing his RV up. So we're gonna get some people together and do like a podcast on how to tailgate for a Packers game.
Golden Mile from Fond du Lac with the the lottery legends or whatever.
Yeah, right. All right.
When we go for Packer games, I'm like, man, if we take 41 and we go through Fond du Lac, we're stopping and getting a couple of lottery tickets while we're there.
Right.
To Sheboygan to Mies Fields to get brats and all of this. And I get home and I look at how much money I spent.
Right.
Yeah.
Favorite type of cheese?
Wow. There was the cheese back in the 70s that all our parents had that had the red wine and the sharp cheddar combined, and they would put them on crackers and all of that. A sharp cheddar red wine Wisconsin combo.
Okay. I'm a ghost pepper fan. Ghost pepper cheese.
So you have a good tolerance for spice.
Yes, I do. It started with pepper jack. Then I started going higher.
Okay.
Needless to say, and I like it. There's a cheese place right by me, Scray's Cheese in De Pere, and they have a nice pepper jack, or they have a nice pepper jack cheese, but they also do have a nice ghost pepper cheese. And then Maplewood Meats actually has a Carolina Reaper cheddar.
The Carolina Reaper.
Yeah. And, Maplewood Meats between Green Bay and Wausau on 29 there.
I've been there. It's been a few years, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm always down for trying new cheeses. So.
But on the hot scale, man, I mean, I've had people make me a cheeseburger and not tell me there were ghost peppers in the cheese, and I just take the bite not expecting it. That's pretty high on the whatever you call a scale,
Yeah, the what do they call that?
I know what you're talking about. The scale.
Yeah. All time.
Don't need enough things to give you heartburn in Wisconsin anyway.
Yeah. For me, there's times like if I go like a couple weeks without having hot stuff, and I'll have like a bite of like a slice of ghost pepper cheese, I'll hiccup. It's like okay, I gotta adjust to this again, but
pretty hot too. There's some heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that, man.
Who is your all-time favorite Packer?
It's a funny question because as we've seen what some Packers, once they leave the field, do, and you may or may not, you may like them more, you may like them less. I mean, I've still got to go with Brett Favre. As a kid, James Lofton is my hero because he was the only really great player on the team when I was a kid. But, I mean, I expected us to lose most weeks for about 15, 20 years, and I'm thinking someday we'll win. Favre finally came along, and for the first time ever, you expected to win every game, that Brett would find a way. And despite whatever's happened, since his playing days are over, when Brett Favre was a Packer quarterback, yeah, he was my favorite.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Charles Woodson. He's my favorite. He
Yeah, a great choice.
I'm a huge Badger fan, and I remember watching him in the mid '90s playing for Michigan, and
Yeah.
his swagger, his leadership, and how good he was on defense, and I just he's and then he went for the Raiders. Yes, I have a Raiders Woodson jersey, I admit it, but
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't like the team. I like the player, and that was back when they went against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. So I went and got a Raiders Woodson jersey, and I got two Packers ones. I got my wife and kids had a chance to meet him at Festival Foods here in De Pere a few years ago when
Nice.
he was selling his Intercept wines. I think they're starting to carry his label there, and he had a meet and greet, and my wife and kids went to meet him and got me 6 bottles signed of his wine. So
What? Yeah.
got that little memento from him. But and my most memorable game that I went to was actually the game against the Lions. Was it Sean Hill, that quarterback for the Lions, when
Yeah, the backup. Yeah.
when he ran all? Remember that when he was just like killing the Packers at Lambeau?
Oh yeah.
But it was that game where Woodson had that pick six that he returned and he dove into the end zone that made the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Mhm.
I was actually at that game. It's kind of cool to see him, dominate. And so, but yeah, he's.
And I mean, as far as all-time Packer favorites, obviously he and Leroy Butler, as far as the D-backs go, I mean, are in my mind the two greatest by far in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's too bad what happened to Nick Collins. I think he was on his way to having a great career too.
Yep, absolutely agree. I did, and I'm just so glad because we're gonna have, Woodson's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Thank goodness, Leroy Butler finally got into the Hall of Fame, and obviously Jerry Kramer, thank goodness, before he passed and all.
Yep.
There's like 3 Bears up this year, and I'm like, oh man.
Hopefully they don't make it.
Well, Peppers is the one that I'm like, all right, yeah, he played for the Bears a little longer than he did for us, but if we had just been able to win a Super Bowl with Peppers, I'm sure he'd probably want to go in as a Packer.
Right. Well, Woodson went in as half Packer, half Raider, so.
And something, I don't blame him.
That's fine.
That first drafted him. It's a team that he finished with, but you always remember who you won the big ring with, And
yeah, absolutely. What do you think was the turning point last year when all of a sudden they're just like, boom, they're just going to go through and smoke everybody?
I think those painful losses, to Pittsburgh, and what was the other one? Was it Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
We had a couple of losses that we had kind of the game under control, and it slipped away. And I think once Jordan Love was able to finish a couple of those and recognize that, we can beat all these teams, that confidence factor kicked in. And the familiarity with all of his young wide receivers, whether it be Bo Melton one game, Wicks the next game, you just saw he had such confidence in his receivers, Musgrave and Kraft at tight end. Once the light bulb went off, it clearly was a huge difference.
Yeah, and you think about the weapons we had last year, then you add in a healthy Watson.
Yeah. And I'm a Watson. I see all these people wanting to trade him, and I'm like, that's just with 2 seasons left on his rookie deal on the cheap and all of this. Why would we want to trade him right now after he's been treated for the hamstring issue? They come up with some very interesting, medical things the Packers didn't know. There's no reason to trade him. It would be stupid to trade him.
If anything, I'd re-sign him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we're going to have about 4 or 5 guys come up in the next couple of years, wide receiver wise, where we're going to have to make, those decisions. We're not going to be able to keep them all at some point.
Right.
But
yeah, but you just you go for the top 2 and, Yeah, the thing that's nice though is we're going to have the cap room to keep some of these guys,
Yeah.
whereas before we didn't. You
And
know,
I still fully expect that Love's deal is going to get done between now and camp. I mean, you think about it, that's what, 6 weeks,
yeah,
5 weeks. I think it's going to get done. And I think that's going to set our cap as we look at Kenny Clark, as you know, we look forward to next year's cap and all of that. I mean, Ball is our stud. I mean, our salary cap man, and the work that he does, he's like a wizard.
yeah. This the way. I'm not really a fan of pushing money out in the future, but if that's what they got to do to be competitive, I guess I'll become a fan.
Well, when they presented it first, I mean, remember all the criticism with the Rodgers? Oh my God, we're going to be crippled with the cap forever. It ended up not impacting us whatsoever. You know, we were a missed field goal away from going to the NFC Championship game last year. And now Rodgers is completely off the cap and no damage. And that's what I love about Ball, is that he's not just kicking the can down the road. He has some good areas that he's targeting these things.
Yeah, you think of Aaron and Bakhtiari. It
Yeah.
was like $80 million,
Hmm?
if not more. What was Bakhtiari, like 29?
Oh, and I want to say in the end, what, we have 20 on this year's cap, I believe. And we have what, 8 or 12 with Jones.
Yeah,
Same time, we have cap space. You know, none of these things paralyzed us at all with what we could spend. I want to say what, we have the seventh most salary cap open right now of any team. I think I saw that the other day. And I'm just laughing. I'm like, oh, all the people that thought between Rodgers and Bakhtiari salary cap, you know, we're going to be doomed for a long time. And we're not.
yeah. Well, it helps too when you have your stud receivers all combined making like $11 million.
Yeah. And Justin Jefferson signs for $35 million a year.
Yeah, with
You know,
with an unproven quarterback. Kudos to him, I guess.
I mean, the last I saw, Sam Darnold might still, because I tell my Viking fan friends, I'm like, you bitch about the Packer quarterbacks, but now you've got a situation. Do not start JJ McCarthy year one. Let him sit, let him learn, let him get that. How Love's going to stink. The Packers can't do it 3 times in a row. Yeah, we can, because we develop them. We don't just throw them to the wolves, you know. And
Right. Who? Speaking of that, what do you think of? Was it Michael Pratt?
okay, our rookie.
What do you think of him? Do you think he beats out Clifford for backup?
I think that there's a solid chance that he does. I mean, Clifford was a solid guy. What, started 3 or 4 seasons at Penn State,
Yeah.
showed that he's calm. You know, I think that Pratt might have some more athletic ability than Clifford does. I could even see a scenario where both are kept, since both have practice squad eligibility. Right now, I would say I like Pratt a little better to beat out Clifford, though. I kind of
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Clifford when he came in last year. He was precise. He made his reads. He had zip on the ball. It's so yeah, he'd be a good practice squad quarterback. You know, either
Good.
would be.
Well, you mentioned Pratt. I really like him. And, you know, this is that time of year when they've not even been in pads or played against live defense. You develop your little crushes. And I'm like, oh, you know, Pratt's going to be that next backup quarterback that we trade for a first round pick in a couple of years and all that. We'll see
Yeah.
come preseason, you know.
Yeah, you think back to like Aaron Brooks and the Hasselback and
Yeah, Mark Burnell, you know, all those days. But, you know, something, Ron Wolf used to do that. And Goody even said before the draft, I may need to go back to drafting quarterbacks. And drafting Pratt was a Ron Wolf kind of draft pick. Let's put it that way. I was happy. Again, kind of like King. I'm like, how is this kid Pratt still available? With all the teams that have no quarterbacks, someone would have jumped on him in the 4th or 5th or something.
yeah. What do you see in Caleb Williams? Do you think he's gonna be good in Chicago?
I think the jury is out. They've got great receiving talent. One thing they have done is they put together a good receiving core. They got solid tight ends, solid receivers. They're rebuilding their offensive line with a bunch of new guys. But I just still remember as a Notre Dame fan, because I live as close to Notre Dame Stadium as you do to Lambeau, how Notre Dame just absolutely destroyed him. And I'm going to say 50-50 bust or Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I hope he turns out like Jay Cutler.
Yeah. or Cade McNown, even better, a great first-round pick that they just try to pretend never happened.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't really impress me in college, and I mean, you can get him all the receivers that you want, but you got to be able to stay on your feet to get the ball to the receivers. And if you don't have, I mean, they got Swift, but if you don't have a run game, you're gonna pass. You know, so
Swift's a solid back, I think, but what is
yeah,
this third team in 3 years or something? So obviously he's not a game-changing back. For fantasy league, if Swift's there in the 5th round, yeah, you take a chance on him. But is he a huge difference maker? He's going to have to. What a Bears in general are just going to have to show us as Packer fans, 10 in a row, 18 out of 20. Even if you beat us at Soldier Field early this, fall and all that, okay, you got a lot more you got to do before you're going to think you're going to pass us in the standings.
right. Going off of that, who do you think is the biggest rival to the Packers?
I once played in a golf outing with Fuzzy Thurston, who started at left guard for right guard for the Green Bay Packers. Not left guard, but anyway, he had throat cancer, so he had one of those throat boxes in, and he took his fork and he banged it on my plate so I could come in and hear him, because it was during a banquet after the golf outing. And he's like, Mick, Bears Packers is love hate. Packers Vikings is hate. Don't ever forget that. So to me, the Vikings are the most hated rivalry. The Lions are the best team right now, but I felt sorry for the Lions fans for a long time. I don't anymore, but
Right.
there's no love with Viking fans at all, as far as I'm concerned anyway, in that whatever you call it stadium that they have.
The Bird Killer.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember one of my brother-in-laws played for Upper Iowa University out of Iowa. They played a game. Was it the Metrodome?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That place smelled like urine like no other. It was just disgusting, you know. Ugh. But anyway,
That's
that's
the stadium. I've been to Detroit and Chicago both many times to see away games. I have boycotted Minneapolis, so I've never been to a game, even though I've seen them play the Vikings many times. Never there.
yeah. But yeah, it's. Do you think you think we'll have a top 10 defense this year?
I'm optimistic that we can. A couple of key things is going to be, like you said, the run defense. And, Devontae Wyatt is kind of more of a pass rusher. Kenny Clark obviously is tremendous on all aspects. Is Slayton going to step up a little bit more as far as being that, middle run stuffer? Brooks, is he going to be more than just an inside pass rusher? I would say that my expectation is the Packers are going to be a top 10 defense.
What about their offense?
I think the offense, keyword being staying healthy, is going to be nearly unstoppable. I really believe that. I look at the depth we've got on the offensive line. I think that we addressed it well in the draft. And obviously, with between Lloyd and Jacobs and Dillon and even Emmanuel Wilson, we have 4 running backs we can put in there at any time. I think offense top 5.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see the defense, and I'm equally excited to see the offense for sure.
Now
What do
the
you?
competition is this something that I mean, I like Carlson, and I know as a draft pick they're going to try to give him every single chance to win it, but I'm not sold on.
Yeah, I don't know. I give him a year or two, maybe a year and a half. He when right when the season was over and people were dogging him, and I went back and I looked at Crosby's percentage and I looked at Carlson's percentage their rookie year, and Carlson had a better percentage than Crosby did. And
Yep.
look at Crosby did for us. So I mean, I can't give up on him right away. You know.
I'm only saying there was a couple of huge missed kicks that could have changed the season. And for this year, I mean, he kicked a 57-yarder at the end of practice the other day. And so he's got the leg. It's just mentally, is he going to be able to go up and nail those big kicks? Crosby, yeah, those games against the Lions where he'd miss 4 field goals in a game and you're shaking your head like, what is going on here? But then in the playoffs, just ask those Cowboy fans. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where. Crosby is their worst nightmare. So
Yeah, and I think they brought in Joseph's to kind of get Carlson on track too. To kind of
yeah,
give him, hey, look, I'm going to lose my job if I don't, you know. So I think he'll be the long term solution. Just got to give him time.
I want him to win it because the poor kid, if he has to sit and think, I lost my job in Green Bay to a Viking kicker, that's like the most shameful thing you can
Yeah.
ever imagine, you know? I mean,
Yeah, then you'll have Greg Josephs going around being a sponsor for or being sponsored by Applebee's,
yeah,
like Ryan Longwell.
yeah, exactly.
How do you think the North fares out this year, 1 through 4?
Um, I'm going to say, well, I always do every year, but obviously I think our Packers going to win the division. I think it's going to be a season-long race with the Lions. I think the Bears are going to be improved. Much I hate to admit it, they got a really solid defense, and if Williams does anything, so I'm going to go Packers 1, Lions 2, Bears 3, and Vikings 4. But I do think the Lions are a surefire playoff team, and I think the Bears, we have a chance to have 3 teams come out of our division and make the playoffs. Is the way I see it.
Yeah. What do you think Packers overall record is going to be? I'm going with 12-5.
And that's about where I am. It's a weird schedule. As long as we win those early game home season games early, then you think about it, 4 night games in a row. I mean, I've never seen that in a schedule before.
Yeah.
And what of the 4 night games? What, only one of them? No, 2 of them are at Lambeau and 2 are away. I think that if we can make sure we take care of the division games, 12-5, 13-4 is where I hate to say it because then somebody's going to come back when we go 10-7, and be like, oh, you were overestimating them.
Yeah, you're off by 2 games.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be something if those 2 games were lost by missed field goals?
By Greg Joseph. Yeah, that'd be our luck. We're playing the Vikings, and Joseph blows the 31-yard field goal, and we lose by 2.
Yeah. Then after the game, the FBI raids his account to make sure he wasn't gambling, on himself,
Yeah. Suspended for life, Greg Joseph, man. So he's got to go kick the USFL or the UFL and the CFL. Yeah. In fact, I was watching the UFL last night. I couldn't believe how many former Packers were in the playoffs in the UFL.
Yeah, I was watching. It was like Jay Sternberger,
Amari Rodgers.
Amari Rodgers. Wasn't there a quarterback?
Oh yeah, Danny Etling.
Etling, yeah.
Yeah, he was our backup last year, and there were a few others. I was like, man, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah. Well, Amari Rodgers can stay away from the Packers.
Yeah, and he had the winning touchdown too in the game.
See, I think the Packers were looking to get, Jaden Reed production out of Amari Rodgers and didn't pan out. And then he had his career cut short in the NFL because of that. But because he was good at Clemson, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, in
Yeah.
multiple ways. And I think it's a great comparison you make with Reed because they were supposed to be the guy that could do the gadget play, could line up in the backfield, line up in the slot, and be a good slot receiver. And yeah, I mean, Reed already in his rookie year is far eclipsed what Amari Rodgers ever showed in a couple of years.
Well, in the riff, I think that happened was Rodgers wanted his buddy Randall Cobb there.
Yeah.
Randall Cobb was past his prime at the time, and let one get through the cracks. But it is what it is,
Absolutely.
All right, one last question for you, Mick.
All right.
Favorite sports movie?
Favorite sports movie? I'm gonna say Major League.
Pitcher's got a big butt. Isn't it that one?
The one with Charlie Sheen,
Yeah,
Wesley Snipes, and Tom Berenger, because it was filmed in Milwaukee.
yep.
Even supposed to be Cleveland, it was filmed in Milwaukee, and I was actually at Marquette the year they were filming it and all of that. So I remember the whole atmosphere, making Milwaukee look like Cleveland and all of that. But there's so many great ones. I mean, the original Brian songs, I still cry to it, even though it's for the Bears. I still cry every time I see it.
So you went to college? You go to college at Marquette?
1 year.
So what do you think of Shaka Smart, the men's basketball coach?
I mean, Marquette last year, every time I bet on them, they lost, and every time I bet against them, they won. I mean, I don't think that it's going to be a program destroyer or anything, but
right.
See, I mean, who's going to be the better team, Badgers or Warriors?
I don't know, but I'm just the reason why I asked you that is because I went to school with Shaka Smart.
Oh, okay.
He was he was probably like 5 or 6 grades ahead of me, but his brother was in my grade, and he for one summer was my summer basketball coach when I was in middle school. So
nice.
Yeah, so little Marquette, Oregon, Wisconsin connection there. But I'm from just south of Madison in Oregon, so
gotcha.
So yeah, well, look, when we get closer to the preseason and training camp, I'd love to have you back on again.
Oh, Brian, I would love to have it, man. I've had a great time and great discussions. And, I can't wait because, when we talk next time, we're going to be like, who's going to be at right guard? Who's going to be at right tackle? Some of these positions are going to start coming into play, and I would love for us to get together again and talk about those.
Absolutely. I'll within the next week or so, I'll send you like my August, September, how it's looking for me, and we'll get something together to meet up again.
Yeah, we may have to do a little mini one because I will definitely be going to the Vikings game, which is late September, 1st of October.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to come tailgate with you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We may have to do a quick little video of the tailgate and stuff, man.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I mean, I'll be up there for a couple of days for sure. You might be able to meet my son too. So
yeah, well, definitely let me know. I'm more than I'll come tailgate and watch the game from the parking lot.
Hey, there's no better place other than in the stadium to watch a Packer game than in the parking lot. Hey, thanks again for having me, Brian. Been a blast.
Yeah, I'll get this uploaded and I'll tag you on Twitter and there, and then that's it.
Sounds great, brother. Have a great evening. Go Pack Go, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, Go Pack Go. Where can people find you at on Twitter?
I can't even, just Mick Stevenson. I don't even have any crazy handles or websites or anything like that.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thanks again, Mick. I appreciate it.
All right, Brian. Have a great night, man.
Talk to you as well. Go Pack Go.